Hi there. Welcome to Financial Detox. I'm Jason Labrum, your host.
And I'm Alex Klingensmith. Oh, I didn't know if you were going to introduce me or not.
I know. I didn't know. I never know. Like, should we make a plan for that? So it's not just, just every time it's a surprise to you, whether I'm going to introduce you or just say my name and let you figure it out.
Just forces me to pay attention more. You know?
You're always paying attention, buddy.
Yeah, not always.
Hey, here we are. What we're talking about a lot of things today. It is March 27th. We normally don't say the dates, but whatever. It's Wednesday, March 27th. We've got a great show coming. Lots going on in the market, of course, as always. Lots to talk about in regards to financial planning and how to have better outcomes with your money. Financial Detox was born to help you make better investment decisions. The average investor does significantly worse than just the markets. Why is that? And it's because of behavioral decisions that get made by us as humans with our emotions. And it comes with the psychology of money and how we frame our thoughts around investing in money. And so that's why Financial Detox was born, to help you make better decisions, be informed, control your emotions and behaviors that are very intense when it comes to our money. And I think that this show does a great job of helping you do that. And it ties into our wealth management firm, IDA, which helps clients achieve true financial peace of mind. So thank you for tuning into the show. I'm Jason again, and it's what is our number, Alex? So people can give us a call if they have a question. I forgot, 877-7, what is it? You remember?
707-8889. But I like email better, because if you email the team, it's not just, it's jason@financialdetox.com, but there is a team of people that are almost 24/7, like going to be able to respond to you.
Yes.
Whereas if you call in, you might have to wait a minute. So we want to get to you quickly. We want to answer your question. We want to give you an opportunity to have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So jason@financialdetox.com. Wow, I got to slow down today. Here, take a deep breath.
You're excited.
Jason,
you're excited about the election, man.
I am financialdetox.com, jason@financialdetox.com. Shoot us an email. We'd love to help you. We'll answer questions and get you guided, get you pointed in the right direction. So we've got a cool show, Alex. Why don't you brief it, since you're the one who came up with the topic and you're so good at helping us prepare for these shows. So take it away, buddy.
I get a little nervous probably a few days before the show, like when we're planning to record. And also, I'm also about to send out a quarterly kind of announcement, update, market outlook, whatever you want to call it, to our whole database of clients and prospective clients, about 15 to 20,000 people at least. Get that. And many people actually open it. So thank you for opening it. I hope you read it and enjoy it. But as I'm thinking through this, I start to just observe. I sit back and observe our team here in Carlsbad. And also I reach out to some of our people in Fort Worth and Murrieta in Florida. And I just ask them, like, what's going on? What are people talking about? Right. And it's quiet. It's whisperings and it's murmurs right now, but the election it's starting to become more and more. I'm actually surprised it's still pretty quiet, this particular topic.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things that are distracting people currently still. But this is going to come quick this year. So we like to say to our clients that we plan for everything. We know it's going to happen. The next major thing, the next event, the next market event, we're planning for it. In your financial plan, we're testing around it. We're stress testing. We're doing preventative maintenance. Do you want to hit that real quick? And maybe.
Yeah, we probably should hit that, right? My face looks like elephantitis because I went into some preventative maintenance I heard about from a good dermatologist friend, or a friend of a friend dermatologist, who said, man, you should do this Furacil or some cream that's like a chemotherapy cream you put all over your face or on spots of your face. And like for a week, nothing happens. And you think, wow, this doesn't work. And then all of a sudden the next week, your face blows up and gets all red and crusty and crazy. And it's actually killing any overactive precancerous cells. Pretty cool preventative maintenance to like go in and attack. And I've had some cancer in my family. And so I figured I'd give it a try. Well, it's a little painful though, I got to tell you, man. So
your face is going to heal and go back to even better than before, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to go back with less precancerous cells in it. That's for sure. So that's exciting, but been a painful run. I thought I did it because I was on a little trip and I'm like, what a perfect time to do it. I'm going to have a ski trip. I'll have my goggles and my helmet on. It won't matter. But then the goggles sitting on your face while your face is burning was not great. Anyway, so we're going to dovetail that, because the preventative maintenance aspect of whether it's your health, staying healthy, eating right, doing a pre-cancer screen, a chemical pill, whatever the other stuff people do, is really draws a nice correlation to your portfolio. And there is preventative maintenance that needs to happen when you're investing. If you just buy stuff because it feels good or because you like it at that time and you're not thinking about the bigger picture, and if you're not like a really nice lawn needs to be mowed once or twice a week to keep it trim, like your hair, right? To make it look good, you got to trim it every once in a while. That's the dead ends and stuff. Preventative maintenance runs along the same lines with your portfolio, and we call it tolerance band rebalancing, in a way that we have a proprietary rebalancing process. I won't get into it, although I love to, but we, and then preparing for potential events, you can do that in a systematic, process-driven way that you don't have to be emotional and allow the psychology of money take you off track, but you can do it in a way that's very intelligent, well thought out, and process driven. So you're kind of trimming things that have done really well. And when you don't do that preventative maintenance, all of a sudden your portfolio gets out of whack because something does really well. And typically equities grow more than fixed income, or all of a sudden your portfolio is out of whack. So without preventative maintenance, you're going to end up in a portfolio structure that you didn't really intend to be in.
And how about preventative maintenance on your own emotions, right? You alluded to that a little bit, but so back to the election, this is an election year. We know with certainty there's going to be an election this year in November. We know that there's the Congress and the House. We know these things are going to happen. So rather than go along with the wave of emotion that's certainly going to happen when the media gets a hold of you, or your friend or at the barbecue gets a hold of you, or you wake up one night sweating because your guy's not in the lead and you're going to freak out because the world's going to end if your guy doesn't win.
Right.
Rather than do that, maybe good to get ahead of it and fact check reality and history, and then maybe exercise some healthy habits on how to then take action around what's going on. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, and you're not sure how you're invested or what you're going to do this year to navigate what's going to happen, which is going to be emotion for everybody, this is a really good podcast to listen to, because we're going to give you some real facts, and then some real action items. And we're also going to give you an opportunity to engage true professional team, us, right? Our teams, to see if you're in the right place and to see if your emotions are ready for this year. Make sense?
Yep.
With me?
And everybody loves a rematch, right? A good rematch. Like, give me a Mike Tyson rematch, or give me a Conor McGregor rematch, or the rematch of your great football teams playing each other. This is going to be the first rematch in a presidential election since 1956. How's that, Alex?
It's crazy. A lot of these things we're going to say, I literally just learned for the first time 2 weeks ago when I was out at the Schwab conference listening to the experts in this field give me facts. I didn't ever realize that. I also didn't know that it's the first sitting president versus former president since 1892, right?
We're going back in some history here. This is awesome. This is an unprecedented event we're going through.
This is different this time, right? That's what they say.
This is a centennial generational event, more than a generational. This is a centennial event.
So 67, this is not going to be a surprise for anybody listening, I think. So the polls show an unprecedented amount of apathy. 67% of voters just want someone new as a choice, right? What is the word that they're using, Jason? That's hilarious. I'm one of these personally, by the way.
It's the double haters. So presidency will be determined not by the undecided voters like it normally is, but by the unenthusiastic voters, aka the double haters. And how is it? It's pretty easy to be in that camp, right? It's hard to like Biden and his policies. It's also very hard to like Trump and his arrogance. Well, they're both arrogant, egotistical, narcissist maniacs, both of them.
Tell us how you really feel, Jason.
They really are. I mean, what I find is so sad, and I like to consider myself middle of the road, although some would say I'm probably more conservative, but talking to really left-leaning versus really right-leaning, I mean, the fact that we have these two human beings as the candidates to lead the free world is a shame. This shows you that there is systematic problems in politics in today in the country, because we should have people who are inspiring. We should have people who are kind. We should have people who are humble but strong. people who can walk up a set of stairs, people who don't, pound their chest and say, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. That's Trump. Walk up the stairs is Biden, obviously.
You got these guys nailed.
It's just pathetic that these are and then, Kamala Harris and her inability to construct a coherent sentence as a VP. I mean, this is so sad. We're the leader of the free world. We lead the world in innovation. We lead the world in prosperity and increasing people's standard of living. There's been no increase in the standard of living like the United States ever recorded in the history of Earth. And yet here we are with two unbelievably pathetic people running for the presidency. It's sad. So, I mean, I think this should be a time for us to unite politically. Left and right and middle of the road should come together in the fact that we need term limits for senators and congressmen, and we need a more transparency and clarity and less corruption in our political environment. That's just my opinion on it.
No, I think people, well, we've heard feedback from people on this podcast that back in the earlier days when you'd really go off the rails, we'd call it. I think it's important people to know who we are, get the best you can out of a video podcast like this. You can't get to know us unless you meet us in person, but this is a real thing that everyone's going to be talking about this year. Again, we want to get ahead of it and let you know our opinions, our beliefs, but also what you can do with that actionable, real wealth management advice, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy that there's only two real options. Like we have this other slide that we're not going to be able to show today, but there's all these other candidates, independent and third party and other Democrat and Republican, but it's so early. It's not even April, and the decisions have pretty much already been made, right? Which is kind of crazy. What's the point of the whole process at this point? If come November, it's just going to be Trump versus Biden, and then they're going to flip coins in 7
states. It's just a system, right? It's becoming an oligarchy, right? Is that how you say it? I don't know if I said that correctly, but it's just you've got these families that are controlling. They want power. They want to control, and it's bad. I don't think it's good for Americans. I don't think it's good for civilization. I think when you add social media and the cognitive bias, like if you don't recognize that everything you see on social media is exactly what you want to see and what you've liked, then you got to recognize that, right? So whatever you think and whatever you hate, it's going to just give you more reason and more info to hate that, driving you deeper and deeper into your thought processes. And that's a really dangerous place to be. The biases are starkly evident with what's going on in social media and certain platforms that are restricting certain political people. And I mean, it's a really scary world that the bias that we're getting, it happens just slowly enough and surely enough that you almost don't notice it if you're not like really being cognizant of the influence that the things you see and you read have on your thought processes. That's the scariest part. And I think that's why we have this wedge driven between us, because the powers that be want to drive a wedge between us. They want there to be battles between us.
It makes them more money. I don't get that. I wish the opposite was true. Like happiness and cohesiveness made them more money. When I say them, I mean, the fictitious them, but whoever's making money off that design it's broken. But
it's putting power in the hands of government officials and not the people. And this country was designed, and the reason why the standard of living has gone up more than any other country on the face of the earth is because the power has been in the people, and the government is supposed to work for the people, and it's supposed to be about the people. It's not about the government officials, but they want to now make it where they can tell you how to live, and they should tell you how you should drive and what kind of car you should drive and this and that. And you can't name a single government organization, well, maybe besides the military, but even then, that is more efficient than free market capitalism and private enterprise. When left to its own devices, when not manipulated.
That's where some good news comes into this podcast. So I think, would you be able to pull up that slide we were talking about earlier? That's the market and U.S. presidential elections. And then we have some data points behind this, more facts, more information to help actually guide you into a positive place this year. In terms of investing, that is. I mean, on the screen, it goes back to 1928, I believe, or even 26. Hoover was president. He won in 1928. So we have 24 years on another set of data that reinforces what we got up here. 24 years where each year was when the new president was elected. And what did the S&P 500 do that year? Right, Jason? 24 different examples.
Yeah. How many, take a guess for a second. If you're listening to the show here, like how many years out of 24 during election years, right? Think about we've
Like
already had lots of clients already saying, man, this election year, what are we going to do? And it's because you're watching the news. And what does the news do? They need to sell ratings. So they're going to hyper sensationalize everything, either dramatically positive or dramatically negative. And so people are starting to already get concerned. However, out of all market years, around 72 to 74% of 1 year periods, the markets, and I'm saying stock markets in general. So those are positive, 72 to 74% of the time. However, when you look at election years, it's actually 85% of those years are positive. So out of the last 24 years, we've only had 4 negative years in the election years. The last 24 election years, there's only been 4 negatives. So it's actually, the markets are better during election years than non-election years, regardless of who's winning, regardless of your beliefs, right? Everybody who hates Trump and just hates Trump a little more.
Only, we're talking S&P, so U.S. large cap growth. I'd be interested. We should keep digging on this. I'd like to see what other indexes did during these election years, but that's pretty powerful. Only 4 out of 24 down S&P 500 years. S&P 500, most people think that's the market. We always tease that's not the market, but at least it's good data. It's reliable data, the S&P 500 index data, right?
Yes. That's good. And so what we're showing on this slide here is you look at the market and control of U.S. Congress is what we're talking about here. So kind of shifting gears. I think I might have pulled the wrong slide. Did I pull the wrong one?
That's okay. We can go back and forth.
Yeah. Let me go back to the other one though. I think this is the one.
That's Congress. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get it over. There you go. How's that?
Oh, I like the little peak pictures down below. That's cool.
That's fine. All right. Let's blow it up here. Whoa. Too much. Stay with me. So yeah, if we blow that up and roll it up, right? So hypothetical growth of $1 invested in the S&P 500 index, and you're going back to 1926, despite the reds, which are downturns or bear markets, you look at what's happened over the time. I mean, maybe we put too much weight and too much thought into who's the president today and who's going to be the next president. And
the Reds are Republicans.
Oh, correct.
The Blues are Democrats.
Yes, correct. I'm sorry.
Which is also interesting because there's no pattern, meaning like it just goes up is the point. Just like it's going to go up.
Yeah, I mean you've got the Great Depression here. I don't know if you can see the cursor, but you've got the Great Depression here and tough times, and then you can go up and look at the internet bubble burst here. Think about how devastating that was when it happened, and it started happening under a blue president and turned under a red president. And then you can see at the end of that red president, there becomes a downturn and then the blue president goes up. It's just, there really is I don't think you can derive, and we've tried to, and smarter people than us have tried to derive a pattern from this and derive a process to time markets or invest. And you can't, there is no pattern. There's too many other variables affecting the global economy and the prices of stocks than just the president. So as much weight as the media wants to put on it and get our attention and get us to stare at the TV, it really isn't that big a deal one way or another, right?
Sell us stuff. The Congress one, maybe want to flip to Congress now, because I think a lot of people, myself included, I try not to be too sarcastic or jaded, but I kind of feel that way sometimes. I registered independent, by the way, Jason, and I got my ballot for the primaries, and I wasn't even allowed to vote for the president because I didn't register for one or the other. I didn't even really realize that was the situation at hand, but I'm like, well, fine, I don't get to vote for the president. What about Congress and the House? Yeah. And this is the first, and people like me would, my opinion is they actually matter more than the president because they actually get to actually make the laws, right?
Yes.
I think that's somewhat accurate, at least to say that, but
it is. I mean, you're right. Congress should be making the laws, Senate's approving and voting and has to confirm those laws. But
yeah. And so it's interesting because this is also the first time where they might flip ever. First time ever where the House and the Senate might flip parties. Right now it's the Senate's Democratic and the House is Republican. Is that right?
Correct.
They might flip, and it's actually likely they might flip, which is, I don't know what that means. What do you think that could possibly do to the markets?
Again, it's if you try and derive a pattern or a process out of this of which to make investment decisions, it would be a very futile exercise. So
Okay.
while
I tried to bait you there.
Yeah, no, good try, Alex. While it may be entertaining, and while it may be important ultimately in the direction of the company, these things are slow moving Titanics, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of other variables affecting the markets. So without sounding like a total broken record, and I'll stop sharing the screen, it comes back to the simple things, right? It comes back to what rate of return do you need to accomplish the financial life that you want to accomplish? What amount of portfolio assets do you have to build to then derive a rate of return? And how are you going to do that with the least amount of volatility, the most enjoyable ride, so that you don't ultimately panic when the market goes down and sell, and then try to buy back in at the top and then try to panic at the bottom? That's what it all comes down to. Again, despite all the noise, and it's very loud noise, right? Between social media and TV. Gosh, I don't even watch the TV ever really, but I do know a lot of people do. And the average American is spending about 4.5 hours a day in front of the TV. Oh, that's the average American watches 4.5 hours of TV a day. Could you imagine? Like, what are you filling your brain with? Sensationalism, dramatization, of course, tons of drug commercials.
Hopefully some Ted Lasso's in there, because I like that
maybe, one. Maybe if you get a little bit of Ted Lasso, that helps purify all the other toxins. But it's really bad. Like, I think it matters, and not to turn this into a motivational lecture by any means, but like, you have to be cognizant of how you're spending your time and what information you're going to consume. People used to come to stockbrokers because stockbrokers had the information. You had to go to a stockbroker to get information and to make a trade even. Nowadays, I think people come to firms like IDA Wealth and go to shows like Financial Detox because they need somebody to help them sift through massive amounts of information that's just bombarding us, right? How do you pick out what's good? And how do you know that it's actually tailored to you? And so I think that comes back to, picking a fiduciary, a full-time fiduciary wealth advisor who really cares about you, understands what's important to you, and then helps you line out kind of the different strategies and options you can choose to derive the desired outcomes that you're looking for. And then you have to maintain, like my poor face that I'm trying to maintain and keep cancer off, but you have to maintain, and you have to regularly review and rebalance and make sure that you're continuing to track, just like a business plan. Alex, you're so good at helping our firm with the business plan and making sure that what is the goal? Why are we moving towards a goal? Are we making decisions that move towards a goal? If we didn't do that with my personality, we would be all over the board, right? We'd be going down 100 different fairways, and you continually help us get back into the fairway that matters, the fairway we want to be in, the fairway we're supposed to be playing. We're on the 6th hole. We need to be on the 6th hole. Let's play the 6th hole. We'll go play the 7th hole later. And that's the same thing with your portfolio in life, right? You really got to think about what you're doing. And I'll say this, and then I'll pause for a second, let you jump in, Alex. But I remember a really, really great pastor, Ron Armstrong, who I loved up in Temecula at Cornerstone Church back when years ago. And he would always say, think about everything you do every moment of your life. Like, if you're spending time on something, is that something moving you closer to your ultimate goals? And another word would be, are you in the fairway you're supposed to be in? Are you spending time on things that are helping you accomplish what you want to accomplish in life? It's scary, because if you think about where you spend your time, there's a lot of times you're not, that something's not moving you towards your goal. And stressing out about the markets and the presidential elections and who's going to win and how bad you hate this person versus that person. Probably not very productive use of your time at all, when you could be spending that time on your financial plan and constructing the right portfolio that's tied to your true fairway, your true goals, and your true purpose.
That's good stuff. It's funny. It's not funny. It's actually by design and intentional, because I do oftentimes have a plan with what I'm doing every day. Sometimes it gets away from me, and that's okay. Sometimes there's adventures to be had and a journey to be even more fulfilled. But in our company, like we have a book club, right? We read a book.
Yeah.
We probably read 2 to 3 books a year as a team, as a group, as a company.
Yep.
It brings in people that aren't actually together geographically, right? It also brings people together to better ourselves. Personal improvement is one of our values as a company that we align with. And so in order to work here, we want people to have similar values. So we have things in common. The most recent book that we just finished yesterday was called The Happiness Advantage. Really, really cool book. And by design, it was picked during an election year on purpose. Next month is going to be we're going to talk about optimism as a company. It's another one of our values that we have. I have this thing on my desk here with our values on it, right? And our purpose and vision, which helps me remember. And then when I have conversations with people, if I'm ever wondering like how to help somebody or how to help myself, I go back to that. I'm like, oh, this is the guiding force in our company. This is why I'm here. In a year like this, by the way, Jason, this is our 4th one together. I met you in 2012.
Yep.
That's when Obama was elected for the 2nd time. And then 4 years later was Trump, and then 4 years later Biden. And then now, this will be Biden or Trump apparently, unless there's some surprise out there we don't know about. So 4th time. I think if you're listening to this show, you're like, okay, cool. I think I agree with most of the stuff these guys are saying. The facts, check. Their personalities, their opinions, check. And you have an advisor, or you're your own advisor, and you're managing your own wealth, or you have an advisor who's managing your wealth and giving you advice. That'd be a really good question to be like, what was your philosophy the past 3 or 4 elections? Like, what did you tell me, or what did you tell your clients? What did you do? Not how do you feel right now? What do you think you're going to do right now? But like, what did you actually do during that time? I remember, I'll never forget this part of my career because I'd never been through one of these before. It was COVID. So it wasn't even an election year at all. It was a different event. It was crazy. Yeah. And I remember going to you and Rick, your father, and a couple other advisors who had been doing this for a long time. You guys had been through 08, 09. You'd been through the dot-com bubble. You'd been through these massive major events that were first time ever events, right? And I'm like, what am I supposed to tell clients? Like, this is crazy. I don't even know how I feel about this COVID thing. Is everything going to go disappear? Like, what is it, Armageddon for real? And you guys were just like, well, here's what we did last time and the time before. And it's not different this time. I mean, it is, right? It is different this time.
It's got a different name and title.
Yeah. But the markets always persevere, and they must always persevere. You must choose hope. You must choose the future, because what other choice is there? Right. And I was like, okay, I went back and I talked to 50 or 60 clients in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It was exhausting, but I'll never forget that because it changed me. I'm like, okay, stuff's going to happen. It's life. Right.
Yeah.
You are what you grow beyond.
It goes to the point too, Alex, you make a good point about just like volatility is natural and normal, and it is part of investing. It's supposed to be. If it wasn't volatile, there would be no reward. There would be no return. You'd get a risk-free rate of return. It would be 3 to 5% right now. It used to be 1 for years and years and years, but you would have a risk-free rate of return and there'd be no volatility. So volatility is supposed to happen. In the average year, the markets go down 14% from peak to trough. Average. It's like, 50% of the time it's worse than that. So that's natural and normal. The cool thing is you get to control how much volatility you want. Back to the old, roller coaster analogy, you get to decide, do you want to ride the Velociraptor or the Hulk Hogan in Florida where you shoot out of the tunnel at 60 miles an hour and do a flip and a loop? Or do you want to go to Legoland in Carlsbad and totally chill and do a couple little turns and little 10-foot dips? You get to control the volatility in your portfolio, and that should be tied to your financial plan. So yeah, despite all the noise, it doesn't have to be difficult. And even though there's volatility, you don't have to be subject to radical volatility. If that's not your personality profile and you hate that, then don't do it. Don't do it. Like,
Sounds so simple. How do I do it? You email Jason at financialdetox.com.
There you go.
And then someone from our team, we welcome you to have that conversation. We welcome you and do it in advance of when you start to get really stressed out. You don't need to be that way. You can do it now. You can start the conversation now before the election season starts, or whatever you want to call it, the frenzy, right? We're here. This is what we do every day with 20 to 30 people and thousands of clients. We love it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here to help, and we'd love to help you. And you can just email Jason at financialdetox.com if you want help. But I think we've covered enough today, Alex. I mean, I think we can wrap it there. It's short, it's sweet. The election is coming. In summary, there's going to be some volatility. Statistically speaking and historically speaking, there's less likelihood that there's going to be a down year during this year than other normal years. by a respectable margin. Instead of a 25% likelihood of a down year, there's only about a 15% likelihood, only historically speaking, no guarantees and no promises. But so it's actually a bit of a reason to be optimistic. Change is good. Whatever change happens, it's probably good if we can keep moving forward as a civilization. And I think the best thing we can do is turn off the TV and turn off the noise and focus on your personal goals and objectives. Focus on where you want to be, get in the right fairway and play that hole. And I think you'll have really successful outcomes. So
that's right.
Lots of activity going to go on. Don't let the noise and don't let the media scare you. There's a right way to do this that's low volatility. And if you want big returns, you can do it and have moderate volatility and get better outcomes too. So
you have a happy Easter.
Yes. Happy Easter, everybody. It's Financial Detox. I'm Jason Labrum with Alex Klingensmith. We thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the show, give us a like, give us a subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. And we will catch you on the next show. Thanks so much.